Right now, though, I'm sure this is something that I'm not very happy to talk about either. Police chiefs have been accused of taking leave of their senses. I think that's a fair description. After new guidance on trans officers carrying out strip searches. Proposals drawn up by the National Police Chiefs Council would allow intimate body searches, not just can I pat you down, intimate body searches of women to be carried out by men. Not allowed at all, completely not allowed under the law, except, of course, when the man says, I'm a woman really, even though, of course, he's not, because that's not possible. Well, let's talk about this right now with our next guest, Helen Joyce, who's Director of Advocacy at Sex Matters and author of the brilliant book Trans, Gender Identity and the New Battle for Women's Rights. Very good afternoon to you, Helen.
Hi, Julia.
Thanks for joining us. Look, we've had this conversation before, I know, and there's been this ruling, it's been allowed before that supposed trans women officers, men, have been allowed to strip search women. But I thought we'd got rid of that. I thought that was not going to be allowed anymore.
So it's an ongoing story. The NPCC brought out draft guidance for consultation, I think it was last year, and it literally said that if an officer thinks he's a woman, says he's a woman, then he counts as a woman for the purposes of searching. And anything more than just being told to take off your hat, coat and gloves has to be done by somebody of the same sex. Yeah. So we advised them that that was unlawful. Other women's groups like Women's Rights Network did the same. They withdrew it. And now they've come back again and they've said, but if he has a piece of paper from the government saying he's a woman, which costs you £5.
A gender recognition certificate.
Exactly. Yeah. Then he counts as a woman. This is still unlawful in our opinion. And at the same time, we're already taking a case against British Transport Police, which got out ahead of this overall guidance, which is from the central body that advises police forces. And they already have a policy saying that men who have pieces of paper saying they're women count as women. Yeah. I mean, this is an obvious violation of women's rights. Yes. I mean, it's state-sanctioned sexual abuse. It simply shouldn't be allowed, and they have genuinely taken leave of their senses.
I mean, when a woman is in a vulnerable position anyway, being questioned by the police, and again, possibly in a police cell or on the street, I think this is bizarre. And of course, we've got no history at all of any police officers abusing their warrant card and their uniform by abusing women. Of course, Wayne Couzens and the many thousands of other cases, not even in the hundreds, the thousands of other cases when police officers have taken advantage of female suspects to do this. But this is the thing, a lot of people will think, well, if someone who lives as if they are a trans woman, if it's a man and he's had all his bits cut off and he's living, and you wouldn't tell the difference if he walked into the loo, then what's the difference? But of course, A, they are still a man. B, that's mostly not the case. The vast majority of people who have got these gender recognition certificates are fully intact males. They will remain so all their lives. They just putting a wig on and saying they're called Sarah and then saying they get to touch women. I wonder if there is any incentive for a man to join the police to do this.
I mean, when you open loopholes, it's bad people who go through the loopholes. We know that. And quite apart from whether it's a bad person or a good person, the law isn't casting aspersions on male police officers by saying they can't search female detainees. It's understanding that the power to make someone take off her bottom part of her clothes completely and bend over to be examined to see if she has a concealed weapon or drugs, that's an immense state power and is incredibly humiliating, demeaning and intrusive for any woman, even though it may need to happen. Obviously, you only get this done by a woman. That's not me saying that men have to be perverts. That's me just saying it's much worse for the woman if it's a man. And also, by the way, this is very bad for police officers. Yes. Any male police officer who did such a thing would be opening himself to accusations of serious sexual assault. It wouldn't matter what the policy said. Your employer's policy does not give you the right to commit crimes. It can't. Yeah. So the NPCC here is advising forces to allow and encourage state-sanctioned sexual assault by police officers. It's deeply irresponsible.
But I know that you're mounting this challenge to this and you have been arguing against this. Why would they be doing this? I mean, there aren't that many trans officers. It's not that big an issue. Why do they think that the rights of a man who claims with a piece of paper that he is living as a woman trumps the rights of women in that vulnerable position, opening up all of this risk when we've just had 2 or 3 years of non-stop revelations about outrageous abusive sexual behaviour, violent behaviour by male police officers? Why would they do this?
They've been grossly misadvised about the law over many years. I mean, the previous draft guidance was advised by a trans barrister, Robin Moira White, the one that was withdrawn, and it included all sorts of false statements about what having the protected characteristic of gender reassignment entitles a man to do. I think they've really got into their heads that the piece of paper genuinely changes your sex, and obviously it can't do that, but it doesn't even do it in law in all circumstances.
Again, I just don't want people who are that crazy or stupid having any say over any of these things. It's genuinely bizarre, it really is.